All right, second grade, today we're going to be making two stamps. One that's a flower and one that is a leaf. So at the drive-thru, you need to grab two scratch papers. These are going to be where you draw with a pencil. You're also going to need to grab two pieces of foam. This is where your stamp is going to be made. You will also need a pen, and I'll bring around a little piece of tape no longer than your finger. The first thing I need to do is draw out my flower and my leaf design on my white paper. So using a pencil, I'm going to start with the flower first. Now we looked at some awesome flower designs on the smartboard, and we noticed that the artist always starts in the middle with a shape. A circle, a triangle, a diamond. You decide, you're the artist. But in the middle, you're going to start with a shape. Now in the middle, you could also put a little pattern, maybe polka dots, maybe stripes. It's up to you, but maybe put a little pattern in the middle. Then the artist maybe made another shape around that, and you could add another little pattern. But next you're going to need to think about your petals. We want our flower to be nice and big and fill up this whole paper, not something super small in the bottom corner. So I'm going to draw the petals nice and big. There are all sorts of different shapes of petals out there, so get creative. What shape do you want your petals to be? These are also very organic shapes. Now that I have the petals, I'm ready to add a line pattern. Maybe divide it up with a line and have a pattern on one side that's different than the other. Maybe I want to have lines on the whole thing. You get to decide. You're the artist. I think I'm going to go with some diagonal lines. All right, take a little peek. Does it need some extra pizzazz? I think it needs some little petals in between. If it looks good, you're done. Now I need to trace this design onto my foam, and I'm going to be using a pen for that. To make sure that I follow the lines that I drew on my paper, I'm going to tape it to this foam. So with that little piece of tape, I'm going to put it on the paper, make sure it's got half of it sticking up, lay it on my foam. I'm careful that the corners are lining up. Is this lined up? Nope. I've got to get the corners and the edges lined up nice and straight, and then I can peel that tape around the top so that I can easily flip up my paper and check my stamp and flip it down to trace. All right, with your pen, you're going to take it and you're going to trace right over the lines. Tracing means that your pen or your pencil is following the lines that's already drawn. You're not making new ones. Now I'm pressing pretty hard into my paper. Not so hard that it rips, but hard enough that it's going to I can hear it ripping the paper a little bit, but it's not going to rip my foam. I need a little indent. It needs to go in wherever my lines are. So I'm tracing pretty heavy and moving slowly to trace my flower. Slow and careful over all of those lines. Once I have traced all the lines for my flower, I'm going to flip it up, and I can kind of feel with my finger, if not see in the right light, all those lines that I just traced. Okay, so we want these lines to be nice and deep, so next week when we print, we've got a successful stamp. So you need to trace again with the paper flipped up, so I need to look very carefully, and I'm going to trace again with my pen. That means I'm going to follow the lines that are already there. Okay, so slowly tracing with my pen on my foam all of my lines a second time. All right, I have traced all of my lines on my flower. When I touch over the stamp, it's nice and deep. Last thing is I need to write my name on my paper. So the stamp is flipped up, Mrs. C, and my class code. I'm ready to start on my leaf. Now the leaf is very similar. You're going to start with a leaf shape, nice and big. Whatever kind of leaf shape you think would look good. Now you're the artist, you get to decide, is it based on a realistic shape, or did you kind of make it up? Is it part of your imagination? I've never seen a leaf with a kind of a wavy line around the edge. I think that looks cool. All right, next thing is to divide it in half. Draw a line down the middle and add a line pattern. Maybe we even want to add some polka dots. It's up to you. You're the artist. You get to decide. I would tape this to my phone, do the whole tracing business again, once with a pen on the front, once with a pen on the foam. Make sure my name and class code is on the paper, and I've got my stamps. I can't wait to see how these turn out, second grade.